because that's the thing is I learned how to use my brain. And my friends used to call me the beautiful mind, and they would say it's not a compliment, and I always took it as a compliment. And I don't really want to get into this part, but like I was diagnosed with ADHD over 10 years ago, and it made sense to me at the time, and then it didn't. And I had a brain scan that showed it was PTSD, which made so much sense to me, but I do struggle. My brain is very special, I call it. And I learned that when I was teaching the college students and even everything, it's helpful for me to categorize it in ABC.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna do that, but I'm gonna pause because I if I showed you my my elementary school report cards, the teachers used up all the red ink in the state of Maine. When you have a trauma impacted mind, like you, I was actually put into special ed, and it wasn't that I was learning disabled, and it wasn't that I was ADHD. It was that I had a complex trauma impacted mind, meaning my life, like yours, was unpredictable.
Yes.
When mom was go to that, so. Yeah, I mean, okay, you want me to learn my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s, but I don't know if I'm going to get a meal tonight. I don't know if the ambulance is coming. So, I just take this moment to educate people on what a post-traumatic stress or a complex trauma brain of an adolescent is dealing with, and that we have to be very careful about throwing around diagnoses and medication and not understanding the underlying conditions for kids. Little sidetrack for some awareness around true mental health and childhood trauma.
Yes, I appreciate that, because I think in my case, we all have our own paths and journeys, and in a good way or bad way or whatever, there wasn't time for anybody to pay attention to me. I was the healthy person in the family.
Right.
And so, I
filling
look back now.
Filling a role you weren't qualified for.
Yes. And so there was no attention to what I was struggling with at the time with my own brain. So I just learned to adapt to it. And then, here I am now, and I still it's just that hypervigilance that I live with, that I'm, working on overcoming all the time, and social anxiety that people wouldn't even believe that I have. That is just everyday thing. I have social anxiety and hypervigilance, and for me to say it out loud is like, I really just said that out loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm here.
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah, we need to normalize these conversations. I still suffer. I wake up in the morning and I've got this overwhelming sense of anxiety that washes over me.
Yes.
By the time I pray and meditate, it dissipates.
Yes.
But it's we're progress, not perfection. Getting a little better every day. So hit us,
okay.
Aly B,
okay.
with the ABCs of overcoming.
So I think the A is a kind of a double A, is that first we just always in anything is having awareness. It's just awareness of our current truth of our, I guess it's a triple A, the actual truth of our life. So, and I tell people when I'm speaking and coaching, and it's like, there's no judgment allowed. Like, we have enough challenges. I want to just drop kick shame and judgment off our planet. Like, I feel like that is going to save so much in the world. If we can just drop kick shame and judgment off it's like we are all doing the best that we can with what we know. And if we just stop and go, we are the way we are for a reason. We say and do the things we do for a reason. And so I think having awareness of the actual truth of your life without judgment of just what's working, what's not working, and how can I close the gap from where I am and where I want to go. And then it's having acceptance of the present moment. And I just was talking about this, and it's just acceptance in this moment that all is well and how it should be. And that, just acceptance of the situation is very powerful and peaceful. So it's just having awareness of the actual truth of your life without judgment and acceptance in the present moment. So that's the A. And then B is something I like to call bracing yourself. So I'm looking at your books that you have here, because you and I are both really into the sports performance and the mindset. So there's a book that I read called, now it's one of my favorite books. And now that I'm here, How Bad Do You Want It? It's by Matt Fitzgerald. He's a running coach. And this is where I learned about bracing yourself. So bracing yourself is just like bracing yourself for whatever is going to happen, right? So I think that especially now we're growing up with kids, and, we always want to protect them. But like you talk about resilience is like part of our jobs for ourselves and for our children is to let them figure things out. And knowing it's kind of, I'm going to go all over the place with this one, but when we would take our kids when they're little for their their vaccines when they're right. And I don't know, some will say like, don't worry, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. Yes, it is, right? It's going to hurt, but you're going to be okay. You are going to be fine. It's going to hurt and it will pass and you're going to be okay. And I just kind of use that as an analogy of just life. Like life hurts. It's not going to be perfect. Like there's going to be inevitable challenge, adversity. But we have everything inside of us to get through it. So when you can brace yourself for things in life, and so when I coach, it's like looking, and we do like teach people to do this like for monthly, like every month is like, what can you expect? What are you bracing yourself for in life right now? And know that, and like you talk about the coping skills, is like how can you prepare for it so that you can be prepared for it. It's just a very mature way to look at things instead of just expecting things are going to, because when you brace yourself, you can expect that there will be challenge, then you can accept it, going back to the acceptance, and then you can overcome it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole, that's my B, is like brace yourself for the challenges of life because they are going to come. But know that you have everything inside of you. You've gotten through all the moments of your life until now, and you will get through all the moments. Because like when I was teaching those college students that you saw, Charlie, it was like the ones, again, it's like the ones who had to struggle and had some adversity in life fared much better than the students who everything was easy for them. So it's like, yes, we want things to be easy for our children, or we don't, we want them to be strong. So when they have to overcome, it instills confidence in them that like, oh my gosh, I got through that. And it downloads that confidence for the next time, because as we see, life is uncertain. And so when we brace ourselves for those challenges, we can overcome them.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, and it doesn't deny reality. It accepts the reality. It's like, I think when my son was growing up, we went through a bout of night terrors, and we were instructed very clearly to not tell him there's nothing to be afraid of, but say, do you want to walk around the house? Do you want to look in the closet? Because you don't want to deny his feelings and somehow, have him feel that what he's feeling isn't real. You're feeling afraid, but what is it based on? You think there's someone in the closet? Let's check out the closet. Hey, you want to get under the bed? Let's look under the bed. You want to go down and lock the doors? Well, what can we do to help you feel safe, as opposed to don't feel afraid? Because we tend to have this desire to push down and avoid, but negative feelings tell us something. They're a bit of a signal light. And the C.
Okay, the C. The C is choices. Okay, so the C is that's the thing, is like choices about our C again doubles, like choices about the circumstances of our life. And there's an actual equation for this. Is like, I did not make this up. Like there's an equation for suffering. There's an actual. It's somebody named Shinzen. It's called Shinzen's equation, and it says that the circumstances of our life times resistance equals suffering. Meaning that if we resist the circumstances of our life, we are going to suffer. And so it's about making choices, and we make choices. Every single one of us makes choices every single day that impact the quality of our life. And I talked about it a little bit when you were asking me questions before. And so we choose to focus on what we have or what we don't have. We choose to focus on the past, the present, or the future. We choose to focus on what's missing in our life, right? And so if we choose to focus on what we can't control and what we don't have, we're going to suffer. But if we choose to suffer on what we do have in our life and what we can control and stay centered in that present moment, we're going to feel better. So that's what is so important, is deciding to have that way of thinking, right? That's just, we decide, because that's the thing, is we do choose to suffer. And again, I talked about this, and for me, I have to remind myself too, like anybody else, Aly, you're choosing to suffer, right? Oh yeah. And luckily I have that tool that's like, and that's the thing, is using the tools. Like when we know them, is like when I'm coaching, is like, I can give you the tools, you have to use them. And it's just like when we train our muscles and we have to keep doing repetitions, it's the same thing with the mindset tools. We have to keep repetition, and just till it becomes who we are. So now I catch myself very quickly when I'm suffering.
Yes.
And I'm like, Aly, you're suffering. You are choosing to focus on what's missing, what you're disappointed about, what you can't control. And then it's just a switch goes off, and I just grab the thought that makes me feel good. that I can control this. I look at all that I do have this, and I stay centered in that present moment. And it feels better. And we are here to feel good. That's why we're here.